Well, I think it is probably the strongest instrument that you can have, the bond between a coach and a skater, because ultimately you are alone out there. As soon as you step on the ice, you are completely alone. But the support that you feel on the other side of the rail is important, because not only do you need to know that they'll be there when you get off, which I've seen a lot of coaches that walk away if the skater's skating poorly. Um, you need to know that they believe in you. I think that that's a very strong supporting role. You need to know that they believe in what you can do, that they believe that you can place well, that they believe that your future is bright. There are so many different levels and layers of insecurity that a skater can feel that can be iced over by a coach and what they're feeling, especially at a very young age. You feel something yourself as a child, and you look up to your coach as a motherly figure or fatherly figure, and if they believe in you, you take that as gospel, so you start to believe in yourself. I think it was hard for me because I many times when I was younger I felt I was better than everybody above me, and I didn't progress up the ranks as fast as I thought I would. And so I remember in 1984 after the Olympics, I was like, maybe I should just quit. I don't think that I'm going to get any better. I don't think I'm going to move past these guys ahead of me, and I think that I'm better than a lot of them. And I sort of reevaluated my situation and just decided, okay, what I'm going to do is just give it 4 more years, see what happens. And that's when I really did start skating for not for my future, but myself, and realizing that I enjoyed the training. I loved going in every day. I loved getting better. And if it didn't work out, it was just it wasn't going to work out. And if 88 didn't work out, maybe I would go to the next Olympics. And just I took it sort of one step at a time. And as soon as I decided to do that, things really fell into place, because the year after I sort of decided to do that, I was on the podium at Worlds. And then the year after I was on the podium at Worlds, I won the world title. So it was like things were sort of falling into shape, and I was like, wow, things, really came together for me, and I really felt like I had an opportunity to be an Olympic champion. 1986 winning Worlds, it was surreal, because it was sort of it was fate. It was meant to be. I believe that, because I came from so far behind, and it was a terrible year for me because I had a horrible injury that I almost withdrew from the U.S. Nationals, and I think I was fifth going into the long program or something like that. I didn't skate a great short. My figures, I wasn't really high in figures. There were 3 guys ahead of me that were supposed to win politically. I mean, there's no way that I was even, I may have not even, in the judges' mind, supposed to be on the podium, even though I was the year before. I had so many good guys ahead of me, and I was the only one that skated well that night. And it just sort of unraveled in front of me, and it was surreal. It was almost as surreal as winning the Olympics. 84 was a difficult year for me. It was a year of a lot of changes. I was sort of stuck behind Scott Hamilton in the U.S. Nationals, and I felt like there were rumors that he was going to stay in, and that's part of the reason that I was thinking in '84 Olympics, like, what am I going to stay in for? And Scott's going to stay ahead of me, and he's going to be ahead of me, and and there's no hope for anyone ranked number 2 in their country. I mean, you just can't get on the podium. There's no way. So 84 was a really tough year. I think I went through a lot of body changes, and consequently in 85 they were positive changes. As soon as I knew that Scott was going to retire, I felt like, okay, this is a chance for me. I can really pull ahead, and if I'm number 1 for my country, maybe I really do have a chance to be on the podium. And 85 85 was a really good year. It was a turning point for me. I started doing triple axels really consistently in competition, and very few guys were really doing them then. It was just the top of the pack. You had to do it, when you were in the top of the pack. And I was doing a lot of other technical things that other guys weren't doing. So I thought if I kept that ball rolling, then by 88, if I was doing much more than everybody else, then I would really have a solid chance. 86 was the real turning point, because it was the year that I won the world title, and I knew that if I won the world title in 86, by 88 they would have to take me a little more seriously, especially beating Brian Orser, because I knew that he was sort of the golden boy to win the Olympics the next time. And if I beat him in 86, I knew that they would have to take me into consideration, at least as one of the top three. And something happens when you become a world champion. The judges see you in a different light. You see yourself in a different light. You have a different presence on the ice, and that's what happened to me in between 1986 and 87. By the time I did Worlds in Cincinnati, and that was an interesting year. It was a year that I chose to do quadruples in competition, sort of knowing that I would do it that year and not do it in 88, because I didn't know if it would become consistent. I had a lot of other work and compulsory figures and things to do. And I knew I was taking a risk at being a world champion and doing quadruples and trying to be, the first one to do a quadruple in competition. But I really wanted to push myself. I thought, I've taken a lot of risks before. I don't want to rest on my laurels. I want for people to see that I'm pushing myself still. And a lot of people thought I was crazy to do quads the year that I was trying to become two-time world champion. But I decided to do it, and ultimately I think I still skated well that year, but Brian Orser skated really well, and I did make a couple mistakes in the long program, and it was probably the best thing that happened to me, because from that I think I discovered that I needed to make some changes, and I don't think I would have made those changes if I didn't lose in 1987. In 1987, after the World Championships, I thought it was the end of me. I was just I was so depressed. It was like the end of the world. I thought being second in the world, I was like, wow, it's over, And then I started working with Sandra Bezic, and from the choices that she made with me, it created an entirely new skater. And so when I came back onto the scene that year, people were blown away, because I was completely different. And I feel that she had found for me the style in which I was supposed to skate in. I was always trying to compete with guys on their level. I was trying to compete with Fadeev and Orser and Sabovchik, who were much smaller than me, height and size, muscularly. I was trying to compete at their level and doing what they did best. And Sandra Bezic was the one that said, you have to find what you do best and make the judges choose apples or oranges. And that made so much sense to me. Instead of being the quick footwork kind of thing, I became this strength and power and edges, and I just focused on really what I did best. The pressure of knowing that you can win an Olympic title is, I don't know if anything in the world can focus so much pressure on a single moment. I really feel that night of being under the pressure cooker the way that I was, and the way that Brian Orser was, I really feel like it takes years off of your life. I think that everybody has a reserve of focus and pressure that they have to expel energy in that way and in that direction, and it eats up because you bottle it inside, and it just eats. And I really feel that everybody has a reserve, and I feel that my reserve was eaten so much from that one night. In fact, after that night, I didn't dream for about 6 years. I didn't have dreams that I could remember. I mean, I saw a lot of things that were sort of because of that night and how much pressure I was under in the pressure cooker that were results of that. But I can't even tell you the type of pressure and how hard it is. Not hard, I mean, it wasn't hard at the moment, but it takes so much energy to block 22,000 people in the Saddle Dome out and block the thoughts of it's live in America, and block out what, that people, are looking forward to this event as being, the biggest showdown of all time. It was very hard to stay focused, and I think that that's really where I excelled, is I was like, I didn't let my mind off of that one point of I just have to skate well tonight. And I knew I had to be perfect to win. I knew it. I knew I had to be perfect. I knew it would be close. I knew that I had to be, technically, if you separate, or if you look at what Brian Orser had planned and what I had planned, I was way in advance. I mean, I had 2 triple axels, I had a triple flip, triple toe, another triple flip. So, I mean, I knew that if they looked at technically what we both planned, that I was ahead. I knew I had to be ahead. Of course, the artistic and subjective part of the sport is like whether people, really liked Brian's program or liked my program. I knew that that would be a big factor. So technically, but I had groomed myself to technically be ahead of everybody at that time. Looking back at 85, I was always trying to push. 87, adding the quad, I was always trying to. I made sure that I was doing a triple, that I would do true triple axles. There was never a choice in my mind that I wouldn't be doing that. So I knew that I had to be not maybe double, as good as everybody, but I had to be better than everybody, clearly better than everybody, so that if I had a chance to win. And Vidinin came up to me recently, and I hadn't seen him since the Olympics. And so I saw Vidinin at a competition or a show recently, and he came over to my coach and he said, I have made 2 choices, or I am proud of 2 things that I've done in this life. One is my son, and one is sticking up for Brian in the Olympics, because it was the right choice. We grow up in a sport that, you deal with the politics of it. You deal with it. I mean, it's not always fair. I wouldn't want my kid to skate. I really would not want my kid to skate. I think it turned out really well for me. It doesn't turn out well for a lot of people, and people live with that for the rest of their lives. I mean, there are a lot of people who should win that don't win. It's just something that you grow up with, and I don't think it's fair. I think it exists in a lot of other sports. What I like to see, I think the basic thing that you need to do is, if people who are judging you really know skating and know how to skate and have been a skater before, you're not going to get that. Because if I'm sitting with a panel of other skaters like Joseph Sabovchek and Brian Orser, and I say, I gave this girl first place, and they'll say, well, why? Well, she was a better spinner than, what are you, crazy? She wasn't a better spinner. Look at this. I mean, you're always going to have conflicts of opinion, but you can't, if you really know what you're saying, it's going to be hard to get away with a lot of stuff. Definitely would be. I think that it would be better if the speed skating and figure skating were separate. I think that each organization should be headed by people who know their sport and are specialized in their sport. It should not be under, they're so different, speed skating and short track and figure skating. They're just completely different sports with different focuses. So I think that they should be headed by different people. Wow. Memorable performances. Well, I mean, I remember, you guys don't even know this. This was 83 Worlds in Helsinki. That was the year I was the first one to do all the triples in world competition. I did a triple act. I did everything, and I debuted at sort of 7th. I should have been a lot higher, but But it was really probably my most memorable competition. It was really, I think I sort of, was like, wow, people were like, who's that guy, And then I think, I don't know, 86 Worlds, just because of what happened. 88 Olympics was, just, I mean, I could go into that for like 3 hours explaining what happened during that 4-minute performance. I think the glacier, I did a thing on the glacier in Alaska, and that was amazing. That was for a TV special. Gosh, I have a lot of my favorite number, like doing carousel waltz on tour, and doing, all the technical things that I did on the tour with that. And I don't know, there are a lot I probably would forget if someone pointed out some other ones that I've forgotten. I would, oh yeah, I really liked that. That was a good one. Yes. Oh, you know what? I think I got a 6 before nationals. I think I got it in Budapest. So I don't really clearly remember that. Did I get a 6 in Budapest?
The first one I remember is in the short.
In nationals?
Yeah.
Okay, then
But
I do
don't know.
remember.
I mean,
I
it
thought I
could
got a
have been.
6.0 in
You might have.
Budapest.
It
Yeah,
just
see.
meant a lot there.
Yeah, it meant a lot. Yeah, that was you know what I mean. That, talking about the judging, I got it was in nationals right before the Olympics, and it was the technical marks came up and they were pretty high, and then the artistic marks for the short program came up and it was like 6, 6, 6, 6. It was like 8 sixes and then a 5-9 at the very end. And the judge, I used to tour with her a lot. And I brought it up to her one time. I'm like, yeah, it was like that 5-9 that you gave me. And she said, if I would have known everybody was going to give 6s, I would have given one too. I'm like, shit, Jesus, what world am I living in? I think the 6.0 trademark is really going to hurt the sport. I think it really will. It's, people look forward to it. I look forward to it. The audience looks forward to it. I don't understand. I don't know the judging system very well, but I don't get when it says 194.26 and it doesn't mean much to me. And if it doesn't mean much to me, I assume it's not going to mean much to the American public. I don't follow amateur skating as much. I watch it every once in a while. I get too nervous watching it, and if I have friends in the I just can't watch my friends compete, I mean, it's really hard for me to watch, in Salt Lake City when I watch Michelle Kwan, who I'm really close with. I almost came unpeeled. I mean, it was awful. So I don't really watch ice skating too much on TV. I go to, if friends are performing something, I'll go to it. But yeah, I haven't, and that's probably why I haven't been paying too much attention to the judging system. But I definitely got to educate myself if it is here to stay.